This is some of the fallout from the election. Protests across the Bay Area. We're live both on the ground and in the air to see where these crowds are heading next.
Don't get cynical. Don't ever think you can't make a difference.
Tonight we look forward with the rest of the nation at the direction our country is headed.
And tonight we look at the changes happening here in California now that Election Day is done.
Live where you live, this is ABC7 News.
The people have voted, and some people here feel their voice wasn't heard. Right now, hundreds of people are protesting across the Bay Area. Good evening. I'm Dan Ashley.
And I'm Ahmed Dates. Protests are underway right now in San Francisco, Berkeley, and Oakland, and across the country.
Here's a live look now over downtown Oakland and the crowd that has gathered outside OGAWA PLAZA, estimated to be 1,000 people.
The Oakland School Board canceled tonight's meeting because of this expected crowd, and CHP officers are already stationed around the freeways. Last night, protesters broke windows and lit fires in the streets.
Now we have team coverage of protests underway on both sides of the bay.
That's right. We begin live with ABC7 News reporter Katie UTEHS in Oakland. Katie.
1,000 people and growing. I can tell you this rally started at 5 o'clock tonight and it's grown exponentially. Let me show you the crowds here from the street. It is spilling into the roadway. If my photographer looks over towards Broadway, you can see that there are people standing on the street on Broadway. It's shut down the roadway. This is a well-organized, diverse crowd. We've talked to people who are angry and then other people who are just plain sad about the outcome of this election. As you mentioned, the Oakland School Board was scheduled to meet tonight but canceled because of the protest and safety concerns. Now, I spoke with a recently elected Oakland Unified School Board member. She's excited about her win but dismayed by the presidential election.
Many of our teachers had to be with young people who are scared to death of what may happen, Latina children, Arabic, Muslim children that are in our school systems. And so our teachers right now are leaning in and supporting our students in really deep ways.
And all I can do right now is fight.
We've also seen families out here with their children, this lesson in civics and protest. And as you can see back out live, the crowd continues to grow. Oakland police officers are on scene. There is a large police presence tonight. We've also seen CHP in the area following last night's protest where someone was hit on the highway last night. And of course, there was the vandalism. There have been calls tonight to not repeat that vandalism. There have been calls from organizers to keep this protest peaceful. We'll, of course, stay with the protest and bring you any updates. But for now, we're live in Oakland. Katie UTEHS, ABC7 News.
Thank you, Katie. And about 200 people have gathered in San Francisco, both to protest and to hold a vigil. ABC7 News reporter Melanie Woodrow is live there. Melanie.
Alma and Dan, if you're wondering why it is quiet behind us right now, that is because these protesters have moved towards the Castro. But let's show you video from just a short time ago. Hundreds of people at this anti-Trump rally that began here at Market and 5th Street. You can see in this video people with signs, many of them holding up cell phones and cameras, chanting things like "Not my president" and other variations of anti-Trump sentiments. As these protesters moved along Market Street, San Francisco police officers moved along Market Street with them. This protest was organized in part by Answer Coalition. That's Act Now to Stop War and End Racism. And that group has said that this will be a peaceful march. In the event that is not the case, though, there are plenty of law enforcement officers that are on hand here tonight as these protesters move along Market Street. Speaking tonight to the crowd was San Francisco Supervisor David Campos.
To say that we're not going away and that everything that Trump stands for and that got him elected, we're going to fight against. But it's not just fighting against Donald Trump, it's also fighting against the other interests within San Francisco, the corporate interests that have taken over this city.
I'm feeling very scared, very anxious. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, but it is. Like I said, I was shocked this morning when I woke up.
And before we began our evening here at Market Street and 5th, we did spend quite a bit of time at the foot of Market Street earlier today, speaking with voters, meeting very few Trump supporters, especially here in Northern California, specifically San Francisco. Most of the voters we met said they were sad, they were confused. and they were angry. And the people at this evening's protest have said that this is not just about protesting tonight. They say they will do this continuously over the next 4 years. Live in San Francisco, Melanie Woodrow, ABC7 News.
All right, Melanie, thank you. Protests are happening in major cities across the country tonight.
Yes, right now in New York City, demonstrators are marching from Union Square and Columbus Circle toward Trump Tower. There is intense security tonight at Trump Tower, with the building surrounded by both NYPD and Secret Service.
In Chicago tonight, demonstrators are marching through the city there. That protest began at Trump Tower, and at one time the crowd shut down famed Michigan Avenue.
And this was the scene in Philadelphia minutes ago. Several thousand people marching down Broad Street, a major thoroughfare in that city. And here's another live look in Oakland at the crowd that's gathered near OGAWA PLAZA downtown. Estimates put this crowd at more than 1,000 people. You see them all there.
Now, a protest group is set to march from Berkeley to Oakland tonight. ABC7 News anchor Eric Thomas is live in Berkeley with these student protesters. Eric?
And these are folks who are upset about the president-elect's stance on immigration policy. They began gathering here at about 6 o'clock, and they plan to start walking at 7 from here at Telegraph and Bancroft down to the federal building in Oakland to protest. But this is just one of several protests that went on starting this morning that began with protests by high school students from Berkeley High. There were angry signs, furious speeches.
And I am not a rapist. My brother is not a murderer. We are hard workers, all right?
There were even comforting hugs, but little in the way of solace at this anti-Donald Trump protest.
We don't believe his views. He is racist, he's sexist. He's against everything that we have fought so hard for.
About 2/3 of Berkeley High School's 3,000 students left class this morning and marched a few blocks to the UC Berkeley campus to protest Trump's victory at the polls. The school's principal says they began seeing plans for the protest on social media last night and quickly got on board.
I view this as a really rich learning moment for our community, as well as an opportunity to process the results of the election.
A handful of administrators went with them to keep things orderly. The rest stayed back with the 1,000 or so students who remained in class. At almost the same time, hundreds of UC Berkeley students gathered on the steps of Sproul Hall for another protest. This one, a silent sit-in by a group representing undocumented students and their families.
There's a whole community that will fight for us, for what we believe in, to protect the most marginalized parts of our communities.
Sí se puede! Sí se puede!
No matter how loudly they protest, these kids say at some point America will have to put its divisions aside.
Having a divided America, segregated, is not going to help anything. It's not going to help any causes. But pretty much we just gotta stick together and stick out these 4 years.
And in 4 years, those teens will be 20-somethings with the right to vote and the chance to put their votes where their mouths are. Now, once again, this protest is beginning to gather across the street here at Telegraph and Bancroft. At 7 o'clock, these folks will begin walking from here down to the federal building in Oakland to protest the president-elect's immigration stand. So more to come later tonight. Live in Berkeley, Eric Thomas, ABC7 News.
All right, Oakland, Eric, thanks very much. In East Oakland, students at Bishop O'Dowd High School walked out of class this morning to express their displeasure with the results of the election. Sky 7 flew over Oakland Technical High School on Broadway, where students assembled in front of campus. Sky 7 was also over the Richmond Civic Center this afternoon when students from 3 high schools in the area converged for the protest you're looking at. The students marched along city streets and at one point looted a Valero gas station market. That's according to police. Officers did not say how extensive the looting was, but Sky 7 did capture video of police vehicles in the gas station lot after that incident. Now, here's another live look at the crowd gathered in Oakland for tonight's protest. When news happens where you live, remember, share what you're seeing by using the hashtag ABC7Now. It will help us find your posts and possibly feature them on ABC7 News.
Well, it's difficult to take focus away from the presidential election that has stunned many Californians, but it's also important to address the 17 statewide propositions that were on the ballot.
Right, a lot of other issues to talk about. Next, we look at how the decisions made on 2 propositions will change capital punishment in California.
And we'll explore what's changing now and what's changing later after Californians voted to legalize recreational marijuana.
And I'm meteorologist Drew Tuma. Record highs today. Even warmer air arrives tomorrow before we track our next chance for rain. We'll have the timing and the accurate forecast ahead.
breaking news.
Always on the ABC7 News app.